the last few weeks, it has been our privilege to host 64 schools putting forward their best foot in terms of debating talent. We have seen some scintillating debates, some inspired arguments, and some fantastic amount of research done by students. The topics that were thrown at them, are being thrown at them, are perhaps a little above the school level, but every time they have come back and surprised us with their depth of understanding of these complex topics. We have gone from high-tech to abject poverty, from social inclusion to international commerce, and they have always come back equally strong. Today we have one more such fantastic debate lined up for you. So without any further delay, let us start. Today's debate, ladies and gentlemen, is between the DPS-Modern Indian School from Doha, Qatar, and the Bharati Public School from Delhi. Well, this is the match 30, which is a Pool A match. As both teams must already be aware, other teams have played in Pool A, so you have more or less a good idea about the scores that you're trying to beat in order to qualify for the quarterfinals. This being the 30th match is also meaning 2 more matches are left before we enter the quarterfinals. So this is going to be very, very exciting. As you are aware, we typically have 3 judges for all of our debates, 2 judges, 1 from each school. And today, Pushan Sharma is the neutral adjudicator. Pushan finished his engineering from the illustrious College of Engineering, Pune, and then went on to do his MBA from TFI Management Institute in Manipal. He's currently the Associate Director at the CRISIL organization, doing some phenomenal work in research across the country. Pushan, privileged to have you with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Shubhavi.
Also, our privilege to be powered by Stayfree. As you're aware, Stayfree is a Johnson & Johnson's brand that does a phenomenal amount of great work for women's hygiene, particularly young women who are just entering their puberty. There's this short message that they wanted us to share with everybody here regarding women who are entering their puberty during the lockdown. Let me play that for you.
मेरे पीरियड शुरू हो गए पहली बार हो रहे हैं मुझे तो काफी अजीब लग रहा है
पीरियड्स में मुझे आसान काम भी मुश्किल लगता है बहुत दर्द होता है
मैं किसी के पास बैठ भी नहीं सकती और जब मैं उठती हूँ बार-बार निशान चेक करती हूँ
घर में एक ही वॉशरूम है तो पैड चेंज करने में मुझे शर्म आती है
मुझे पैड को कचरे में छोड़ना पड़ता है हर बार
She may not understand what she's going through. She just needs to know. You do. Over 2 million girls will get their first period in lockdown. Our sister could be one of them. Talk to her. Tell her.
It's normal. It's just a period.
Well, with that heartwarming message, it's time now to move on to today's debate. As I said, today's debate is between the DPS-Modern Indian School, Qatar, and the Bharati Public School in Delhi, India. The topic today is this house believes online anonymity should be banned. This house believes online anonymity should be banned. Let's have a look at the teams from the DPS-Modern Indian School, Doha. We have Jaya Majumder, who is the adjudicator. Victoria is speaking for the motion, while Atharv speaks against the motion. From the Bharati Public School, Delhi, we have Kriti ma'am, who's the adjudicator. Nikhil is speaking for the motion, while Vibhor will be going against. This would be the order in which the speakers will speak. We'll start with Victoria speaking for the motion, followed by Vibhor going against the motion, then Nikhil, and then Atharv. As and when the speakers finish their turn for the initial 5 minutes of arguments, I will come back to the judges and ask you to fill in the scores in the Google Sheets that have been provided to you. I can see that all 3 judges are online on the Google Sheets. Thank you for getting online. Well, Victoria, if you're ready, we will start with you. Before we start your arguments, we would love to know you a little better.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Victoria Polonio Honorides. I study the 10th grade in DPS-Modern Indian School. I'm very passionate about debating, and I've been in my school's debate club for about a year. I learned that debating isn't about shouting or arguing, it's about convincing and persuading someone. So debate helped me understand significant values and principles. And I'm proud to share that I bagged the top speaker position in Qatar debate in the season 2019 to 2020. But beyond debate, I really enjoy subjects like English and geography.
Wonderful, Victor. Good to have you with us. If you are ready with your arguments, we will start your time for the debate. 5 minutes on the clock now.
Ladies and gentlemen, why? Why were we all asked to register to join these online debates and to join our online classes with registered accounts or our school accounts? The answer to all of those questions is security. With the growing use of social media and the internet, the question of internet safety and security is prominent today. And this is what the affirmative side is aiming for. For this reason, I strongly affirm this motion. And if you agree with the same, you side with the affirmative side. In order to win this debate, I will be proving 2 points. Firstly, how we're providing security and safety to society, and secondly, how we're strengthening democracy. I will address these points by introducing 5 major arguments to the floor: accountability, combating cybercrime and cyberbullying, combating radicalization, strengthening democracy, and lastly, credibility. Let's get into some detail. Accountability. Digital Attitudes report finds that 50% say the internet has made their life a whole lot better for people like themselves, but only 12% say that it has a very positive impact on society. A concerning amount of people that place a negative effect on society are almost always never held accountable. So wisdom says that the decreasing anonymity is proportional to the increasing accountability, that is security. The internet supports a global ecosystem of social interaction. With people's identities completely covered and unknown on the internet, it becomes easier for people to commit cybercrime and abuse a massive platform. Not only does it become easier, but online anonymity protects such doing. There's absolutely no social justice when it comes to online anonymity. But when online anonymity is banned, it makes people more civil in what they say and what they do, and creates a secure environment for people to actually enhance their rights. Now, secondly, how are we combating cybercrime and cyberbullying? About 700 million people are being affected by some type of cybercrime. Companies suffer trillion-dollar losses, and society falls apart as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, then this question arises: what makes it so easy for cybercrime to occur? The internet provides the facilities for people with criminal intent to associate and exchange intelligence with the reduced risk to their personal identification. The affirmative side addresses the propensity to use anonymity techniques when perpetrating cybercrime. Consequently, a new balance between privacy, freedom of speech, and law enforcement must be determined. Cybercrime is causing unprecedented damage to people on and off the internet. And the only way we can drastically combat this is by completely restricting online anonymity. Now, third, how are we combating radicalization? Comparing on and offline radicalization in some countries, we note that violent radicalization in religious institutions does not include more than 1 or 2% of total radicalization. What does this tell us? This tells us that radicalization happens through other ways, and that one of the most prolific models is on the internet. And the internet is a perfect place for the breeding of terrorism to occur. Now, why is that? Considering that your identity is unknown and the lack of proper regulation of the state, we forget to see that others are human. We misuse forums, we neglect the opposition, and it's all because of online anonymity. What we're aiming for is inclusivity and safety. And the only way this can be fostered is when we ban something that encourages the exact opposite. Now, fourth of all, how are we strengthening democracy? When this motion passes in our favor, a secure and a safe environment is established. People become more interactive with each other. Differences are removed. It's important to reevaluate as to what builds our society's identity today. We will be able to fight off propaganda, hate speech, fake news, and so much that taints the idea of democracy. About half the experts responding to this said that people's uses of technology will mostly weaken the core aspects of democracy. So, this contradictory character of anonymity's affordances illustrates the ambiguous role of anonymity in democracy. It includes inclusion and exclusion at the same time, subversion and submission at the same time. Now, lastly, credibility. It is without a doubt understood that when a person's identity is out, they'll think twice about their actions. They will think before doing anything that might negatively impact society. This should be considered especially onto the perspectives of communities that are vulnerable to backlash, hate speech, criticism, retaliation. Communities like the LGBTQ community, religious groups, or the minorities, crimes online completely overtake offline crimes by a massive margin. And it's all because of online anonymity. It's because we can't hold them accountable because we don't know who they are. All my points fall into place and prove that online anonymity has absolutely damaged our state. And it will continue to if this motion isn't passed in our favor. Now, to recapitulate what I had established, I had put to you 2 points. Firstly, how we're providing security and safety to the people. And secondly, how we're strengthening democracy as a whole. And then I've done this by introducing 5 major arguments, being accountability, how we're combating cybercrime and radicalization, and then how we're strengthening democracy, and lastly, credibility.
Victoria, that was nothing short of spectacular. Very, very well done. Let's see how the judges are scoring you. Judges, this is when you turn to your scoring sheets. Victoria's scores go into the first column on the left. Kriti ma'am, I have your scores. May I take them as final? Kriti ma'am, I'll take that score as final if that's okay with you. Jaya ma'am, I have your scores. May I take them as final?
Yes, it's final, Shabayu. My score is final.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Pushan, is that final from you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you so much. Well, Victoria, if you're seeing your screen now, these are your scores after your initial 5 minutes of debating on your screen. Well done. Vibhor, you're up next. We would love to have you on camera and get
Hi everyone, am I audible and am I visible?
We can see you now, yes. And we can hear you as well. We would love to get to know you a little bit better.
So hi, good evening everyone, I'm Vibhor. So debating has been a part of me since quite a few years, and it's not just competitions, the oratory club we have in our school, just interacting, sharing ideologies, opinions, that exposes you a lot to the various perspectives of societies, and that's a very key role I find in public speaking, to enhance confidence and find different perspectives in society, which I feel is very, very essential in the real world. And yes, debating is fun, it's cool. I like researching about various stuff, giving examples, studying various case studies, and the current mentor group we have in our school is fabulous. We interact with each other, including the online sessions. So yeah, we are coping up with the COVID-19 in a debating way. But yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. So that's all.
Wonderful, Vibhor. If you're ready with your arguments, your time of 5 minutes will start now.
Anonymity on the internet. What does this term applies? This basically applies to any interaction a user has on the internet that protects his or her identity from being shared with another user or with a third party. Good evening, everyone. Before we jump right into the argumentation, we need to understand that in current times, anonymity on the internet is crucial to secure the privacy and safety of people. This is why I believe that online anonymity should not be banned. Now, skipping the small talk, this argument can basically be fragmented into 3 segments. That is anonymous reporting, freedom of speech, and misuse of public data, which I would be deliberating upon in detail. Coming to the first point, anonymity is useful to report illegal activities, which is a very, very crucial part of this debate. Police receives many anonymous tips which turn out to be useful in solving crimes. And these references, mind you, these references won't even exist if the users had to reveal their identities and go through a huge hassle. For example, there's this organization called Crime Stoppers in the United Kingdom. It has helped put 20,000 felons behind bars till now, and it's continuously growing. With further government integration, it has loads of potential to be even more effective. Similarly, if we take the cases of sexual harassment or sexual abuse, many cases are reported through anonymous sources. Why? Because this makes the victim feel more comfortable, because he or she has already gone through a lot of tragic and trauma incidents. We don't want to increase that with the huge hassle that might add up with revealing the identities. Now, we need to keep in mind that without anonymity, these actions can result in public ridicule, physical injury, loss of employment, status, and even in some cases, legal action. Protection from harm resulting from this type of social intolerance is a definite example of the important and legitimate use of anonymity on the internet. Anonymity is extremely effective in promoting freedom of expression too, which is a fundamental right and which is a very crucial part of anonymity. And it's funny how the first speaker mentioned about democratic rights while completely foregoing freedom of expression. The society in which we live in can frequently be extremely conservative, often making it dangerous to make certain statements, have certain opinions, or adopt a certain lifestyle. Anonymity is important for online discussions involving sexual abuse, minority issues, harassment, and many other cases which are controversial to discuss. It is beneficial because it gives people an outlet for their opinions. Many online anonymous blogs and communities allow people to free up their minds without threatening their privacy. And I believe that we are no one to steal this right away from them. There are many long-standing precedents for anonymity in publishing too. And if I take a classic example of a very famous novel called Jaya, it is very significant for our history. Why? Because it is a classic novel that went against the social norms of its time. Because it described female characters as strong and independent. Now, let's analyze it. Was it a bad attribute of the novel? Not at all, because it revolutionized the social thinking. But it was not accepted by the society at that time. Now, if Charlotte Bronte would not have written the novel under a pen name, she would have to face serious repercussions by the society. She might have been hanged. So bringing this concept to online anonymity, that is my purpose. To allow people to speak out freely without their integrity and safety being jeopardized. It is essential that we have these social revolutions which progresses forward. But it will be a lot more difficult in the scenario where online anonymity doesn't exist. Now, this online anonymity has also allowed patients to connect with doctors, which is a very crucial aspect of this debate, because now patients can talk to doctors anonymously about various health issues, diseases which they are facing, which they were earlier ashamed to discuss of. Same goes for mental health blogs too. And well, coming to the last point, we all are aware of the several cases where pictures or any information made available in the public is misused. That's very, very common, and we all have encountered some sort of situation. And these are situations where these information is uploaded to inappropriate sites, receiving countless spam messages, or even using this information, such as addresses or locations, for criminal activities too. To prevent all this, staying anonymous on the internet is essential. Now, the proposition might argue that online anonymity leads to users posting harmful or demeaning comments. To a certain extent, I agree with that, but there is a solution to this within anonymity, and that is where pseudo-anonymity comes in. This basically means that the user has some sort of ID or something on platform, but no kind of information about him or her is made public. This makes the pseudo-anonymous user more responsible for his or her action and feel more legitimate while putting up anything on the internet. That solves the problem of accountability and legitimacy we had in earlier arguments. To conclude, we can observe that online anonymity is an integral part of the vast realm of internet. It ensures freedom of speech, safety, and privacy of users, which all are fundamental right for us, and has numerous exemplary purposes to serve, which far outweighs any kind of cons that the proposition has brought up. Thus, I would like to repeat that I firmly stand by my statement that online anonymity should not be banned. Thank you.
Vibhor, very well done, but a little over time. Judges, please note, Vibhor went a little over time. It's up to your discretion how you will mark him on that. Vibhor is to be marked in the last column, the one on your right. Kriti ma'am, I have your scores. May I take them as final?
Please do.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Vibhor, just give us a couple of minutes so that we can tabulate those scores and show you. I can see Pushan scores coming in. I can see Jaya ma'am scores coming in as well. Pushan, may I take that as final?
Yes, please do that.
Thank you so much. I have Jaya ma'am's score as well. Ma'am, may I take those?
Yes, it is final.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Well, Vibhor, if you're looking at your screen, these are your scores after your initial 5 minutes of arguments. Very well done. Nikhil, you're up next. As with your friends, we would like to know you a little bit better before you start your arguments.
Right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Nikhil from class 12, currently studying in BBPS-GRH New Delhi branch. As Vibhor said, we love debating in our Rotary Club. I mean, we think it's an integral part that changes one's personality completely and something that each and every student should have as a part of the co-curricular activities. This current pandemic time, we are also trying to cope up with debating in whatever ways we can, but it is something which should be continuous and should never stop.
Great. Nikhil, if you're ready with your arguments, we will start your time for 5 minutes now.
Your identity is your most valuable possession. Embrace it and be proud of it. Good evening to one and all present here. Today, I, Nikhil, will be the proposition side speaker for the agenda. Online anonymity should be banned. The internet is a beautiful place, my friends. A place where we meet promising people with amazing personalities. People willing to talk and discuss their hobbies freely and get to know people all around the globe. But there are then some people who decide to remain anonymous for several reasons of their own. Starting off by putting the debate on course, online anonymity, as described by Google, refers to official interactions over the internet that protects a person's identity from being shared by will. Now, the anonymity has several drawbacks, which I chose to explain under 3 headings, same as my opposition side speaker: cyberbullying, frauds and scams, and the whole rumors aspect. Now, cyberbullying, as we know, is the first and foremost aspect having massive influence in today's pandemic time. Cyberbullying is basically the use of social media to bully a person, typically by sending messages of an intimidating or threatening nature. Now, a study by Rider's University of Psychology in the United States suggests that in cyberbullying, the whole mentality of a person changes completely and they do things that they would never otherwise once they have assurance that their identity is completely anonymous over the internet. In simple terms, they become uncivil and aggressive. Most trending example of this is racism and transphobia abusers who easily get away without any reprimands. The famous Berkman Lit Review in the United States suggested that 73% victims of cyberbullying did not even know the basic identity of the bullied to anonymity. Such people have a deep impact on the mindset of victims as well. We all remember our favorite show Ghostbusters, right? Now, an actress of the show, Leslie Jones, was targeted by several trolls and racists throughout the tenure of the show. And even when she wanted them to be reprimanded, she couldn't because she did not know her identity. A more relatable and recent example I would like to give you all is the recent unfortunate demise of the Indian actor Sushant Singh Rajput. I would like to ask you all to go to his Twitter account right now, open up a post and see all the comments. There's 3 people supporting him, and then come these 2 people with grayed out profile pics with names such as A, B, C, etc., possessing all the hate comments they have for him. And the impact they have on the mental health of actors such as him is deep and everlasting. Let's leave aside the whole death aspect. Even if ambulance drivers are getting abusive calls from anonymous people till date. On this aspect, my worthy opponents would argue that our human rights guarantees privacy, anonymity, etc. My friends, let me take you back to 2019 when the infamous Christchurch shootings took place in New Zealand, a massacre that is, and they were live streamed throughout the world from anonymous Facebook accounts. My worthy opponents, our human rights guarantees a consent as well, where we asked if we wanted to see such a thing on our devices, but the people who want to so-called keep their privacy. The answer is no. Coming to the frauds and scams aspect, I mean, there's hundreds of them that happen every day, innumerable examples, right? I'll still give you one famous one. Taking you back to 2004 when a hacktivist anonymous group was formed by people who took the internet by storm wearing those famous Dali masks, right? They hacked the Visa and MasterCard websites and the whole Wikipedia website in 2010 preventing any transactions. Next, they hacked the FBI and Department of Justice website of the United States of America. Recently on June 20th, they reappeared and hacked the MPD police website completely and leaked 798 emails of important information. The outcome? Nothing. My opponents would focus on the IP tracking protocol aspect, when my friends, I would like to introduce you to a technical term of the debate called VPN, Virtual Private Network, where encrypted connection can be established to any country server, Afghanistan, Germany, anything, which clones the IP and only helps them go away in an easy getaway. Come to the last aspect of the debate, that is the rumors aspect, my friends. One always relies on the internet for truth. I mean, we Google up anything easily, right? But I regret to inform you that all the internet and every aspect of it is losing a grip on the truth. Several blogs and comments on YouTube videos created by such anonymous people do nothing but spread false information. At first, it might seem like a small deal, right? It's only rumors, but rumors can also lead to severe actions. Within our own country, false reports of rampant child abductions have led to extreme mob violence and 3 dozen fatal lynchings in 2017 and 2018 in our own country, India. In the end, my friends, I'm not keeping my debate here restricted to just criticism and arguing about the agenda. I'm enlightened to inform you that what stance I'm standing for is actually happening. Online anonymity is being banned. South Korean cyber authorities have already imposed restrictions on online anonymity and have seen a 20% reduction in cyberbullying. Several drafts for the same are being made in US, UK, Austria, and methods such as e-passports are being suggested that force people to register their identity on the internet for using Google Chrome and all the search engines themselves. I would now like to rest my case with a simple quote that don't trust anyone and anything on the internet, because sometimes even salt looks like sugar. Thank you.
Well done, Nikhil. Slightly over time there. Let's see how the judges are scoring you. I can see Pushan scores coming in. Kritima, I have your scores. May I take them as final?
Yeah, they're final.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Pushan, I have your scores. May I take them as final?
Yes, please.
Thank you so much. Sharma, I have your score as well. May I take that as final?
Yeah, it's final.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Well, Nikhil, if you are seeing the screen, these are your scores at the end of your first 5 minutes of arguments on your screen now. Very well done. Atharv, you are up next. You've heard both your colleagues and your opposition debating the motion. We're looking forward to hear you speak, but before that, we would love to know you a little bit better.
Right. So, good evening, everyone. I'm Atharv Bhatt. I study in class 10 of DPS-Modern Indian School. I am a debater. I love debating. I've been part of the debating club of my school since 3 years now. And this has taught me that debating is the art of discussion and the art of analysis. It is a way to forward messages and values. Apart from debating, I like playing football, volleyball.
Great, Atharv. If you're ready with your arguments, we will start your time now.
In order to win this debate today, what does the opposition need to prove? The opposition bench must prove that we stand by the basic principle of democracy, which is freedom of choice and free speech. And I will prove that with my 5 solid arguments. But before that, let me elaborate the arguments of the first speaker of opposition with addition of my own points. I will also prove how our points stand out. So firstly, the first speaker came up and talked about freedom of speech. And that is right. I would like to place facts to support this argument. Anonymity helps support fundamental rights of privacy and freedom of expression. These rights are enshrined in constitutions, recognized in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights, and are widely acknowledged to protect the extrinsic good of liberty, political freedom, and self-determination. The fact of the matter is that Supreme Courts all around the world have ruled repeatedly that the right to anonymous free speech is protected by the First Amendment. And that is the reason. And that is why we as opposition believe in today's motion. Another point of this argument is the freedom of choice of a person. Declaring one's identity online is the choice of the user. The user has the freedom of choice for whether or not they want to reveal their identity online. When to disclose and when to not disclose their identity is upon the discretion of the user. The right to withhold your identity, like the right to remain silent, is not a sign of a thug or a child predator. It is the sign of a free human being. Now moving on to my second point, which is banning isn't the solution. Banning online anonymity is equivalent to compromising the freedom of speech of a person. This isn't a utopian world where everything is perfect. If we ban online anonymity, then another method of doing such things such as pseudonymity will arise, as the first speaker already said. This is because people won't stop doing what they're doing just because something is taken from them. In fact, taking it away is only going to provoke more people in finding ways of staying anonymous and finding alternatives. This means that banning online anonymity won't solve the problem, but in turn invite more problems. Which means that by banning online anonymity, it will silence millions of people, and yet the same problem is going to stay. And that is why passing this motion is completely useless. This leads me to my third point, which is political and social dissent. Firstly, let's look at the political. As our first speaker already mentioned, that under some certain laws, being anonymous is respected, such as under the law of Florida, when a caller contacts Crime Stoppers, he or she is guaranteed anonymity. If as a result of their information, an arrest and filing of criminal charges has been made, the caller is eligible for a monetary reward of up to $1,000. This anonymity allows members of the community to offer information to law enforcement without the fear of reprisals. What this means is that even in the current world, people are using online anonymity as a means to help the political agenda of many countries. This leads me to the social point of view. Anonymity has been argued as one of the driving factors that makes certain communities possible. Because without some sort of protection or layer of privacy, many people simply wouldn't get involved in activities that contribute to great causes. What this means is that in the current world scenario, certain communities exist because online anonymity exists. But if we were to take online anonymity out of this equation, these communities would be non-existent, which means that banning online anonymity will certainly lead to great political and social dissent. This leads me to my fourth argument, upholding liberty. Some of the fundamental requirements of a well-run democracy is the promotion of new ideas. New ideas fuel innovation and can help improve political framework. What this means is that people of a country are free in terms of the opinions that they want to express. But if we ban online anonymity, then liberty will no longer be upheld, and that is something that the opposition bench does not want. This leads me to my fifth and last point, which is protect and respect cultural values and personal beliefs. People of the LGBTQ community or people who do not want their opinions to offend other religious people on the internet might want to stay anonymous so as to openly express their feelings and thoughts. Online anonymity acts as a medium to protect the respect and cultural values. What you say and do becomes more important than who you are, which is something we are striving to achieve in this world full of negative biases and silenced voices. This is the concept of anonymity, and we as the opposition stand by it. So, to conclude, I believe that the benefits of online anonymity substantially outweigh its peripheral disadvantages. And to prove this, I have extended my first speaker's case, and I have showed you how they stand out. I have also given you 5 solid arguments to prove this. I have given different effects that the opposition bench brings. So I am proud to oppose. Thank you.
Well done, Atharv. Let's see how the judges are scoring you. Judges, you have access to the scoring sheet. Let's see Atharv's scores coming in. Kriti ma'am, I have your scores. Should I take that as the final score?
Please do.
Okay, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Can I take that as your final score?
Yeah, you can take it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Pushan, may I take that as your final score?
Just give me 10 seconds.
Sure.
Yeah, you can go ahead with that.
Thank you so much. Right, so Atharv, if you can see your screen, these are your scores after your initial 5 minutes of arguments on your screen now. Well done. And now this is when we circle back for the rebuttals. Remember, you have 2 minutes for your rebuttal, and you're not rebutting the opponent's school, but the opposition bench, which means that Victoria and Nikhil would be rebutting the points put forth by Vibhor and Atharv. Victoria, if you're ready, you will start your time for the rebuttal now.
Through this refutation, I will be proving to you how and why the affirmative side has an upper hand and has won this debate. Let's examine the places where both sides of the House have met. So, the security of users online and the security of rights and freedoms. Secondly, accountability. And lastly, which side brings more benefits? Continuously by the opposing bench, they tell you that anonymous sources can help crime and that it enhances freedom of speech and expression, and it is important. We absolutely do not deny that freedom of speech and expression is important, but we need to reevaluate the harms that online anonymity produces. A new balance must be made. If this motion passes in the opposing bench's favor, does an enhancement of rights happen, or does a degradation of rights happen? So first of all, we need to question why people go anonymous in the first place. People go anonymous because they fear retaliation, they fear backlash, they fear criticism. And this can only negatively affect our society. And when it does, we need to hold people accountable. And this brings us to the question of accountability. Accountability. So when establishing anonymous programs to drive greater diversity or uphold the promises of democracy, organizations may need to suffer the ability to hold the speakers accountable. So comparing both sides of the debate, instead of promoting the idea that who were moral will be held accountable, the opposing bench protects negative impacts and protects negative doings. Now, lastly, which side brings more benefits? The opposing bench establishes a case where they claim that they fulfill the promises of democracy and the principles of democracy and protecting people's rights and freedoms. Instead, they're bringing democracy into a massive wreck and then protecting the negative outcomes of these certain rights. The affirmative bench does not agree to the notion that people's rights will be stripped away. We encourage that they exercise them, but exercise in a positive environment where all speech is included. Security will ensure that these things will be protected. And seeing that we've won all the places where the houses have met, I beg the jury to propose.
Well done, Victoria. Let's see how the judges score you. Judges, this is the time when you put the scores into row 9, the one that you had left out earlier. Jaya ma'am, I have your score, thank you. Kriti ma'am, I have your score as well, thank you. Pushan, I have your score as well. Great. Well, unlike the first round, we are not going to show you the scores right after your debate. We will show you all the scores after all 4 rebuttals are done. Vibhor, you are up next.
Hi, am I audible and visible?
Yes, I can see you. I can hear you loud and clear. If you're ready with your rebuttal, we will start your time now.
Great. So good evening, everyone. So in this argumentation that we have observed, the main key points, I realized that the proposition bench arguments were full of logical fallacies and self-contradicting statements, which were highlighted even in their examples and various theories they were proposed. And I would like to highlight them for all of you. Starting off with their argument of democracy. You know, it's really funny that the whole proposition bench, the whole argument was based upon democratic and rights, but still trying to defend that, but they're still not able to establish the point that banning online anonymity will abolish rights such as right to freedom of speech and right to privacy. That is inevitable, and there's clearly lack of defense on that side. And coming to other arguments, there's clear lack of analysis of the stakeholders that are actually being impacted by this banning of online anonymity. As the proposition bends about cyberbullying, transphobia, racism, which are very genuine concerns, I agree. But what if we see from the perspective of the victims? If you provide them online anonymity, they won't even get bullied because their information is anonymous. Don't you think we are targeting the root cause here and completely abolishing that rather than searching for ways to punish who has bullied the person? This is a more effective way in my what I believe. Now coming to the argument put up by the proposition bench regarding terrorism, like how could it spread terrorism? I would like to just ask you this question. These terrorists are committing homicidal crimes. I don't think so. Blasting a bomb in the middle of a city is illegal. If you ban online anonymity, how sure are you they would really agree to this banning and just, you know, reveal their identities out in the public? We are just debating about should it be banned or not. They're already breaking homicidal crime, doing homicidal crimes. How can you expect them to follow this tiny online anonymity ban? And the proposition bench didn't provide any solutions, just providing silly arguments, whereas our team provided particular solutions to the problem, including pseudo-anonymity, which solves the accountability and legitimacy issue. And that's how I would like to wrap up my case. Thank you.
Well done, Vibhor. Let's see how the judges score you on that. Pushan, I have your score. Thank you. Kriti ma'am, I have your score as well. Thank you so much. Jaya ma'am, I have your score as well. Thank you. Well, it's now Nikhil's turn. Nikhil, if you're ready.
Am I audible and visible?
Yes, I can see you. I can hear you loud and clear. If you're ready with your rebuttal, we will start your time now.
Good evening to everyone once again. What I have seen till now has been nothing short of baseless arguments with no logicality by the opposition side. The arguments have been completely baseless and have been completely theatrical in nature. The first speaker of the opposition side comes and mentions that police get tips by anonymous people that prevent bad incidents from happening. Well, sir, in our own country, India, ACPs of states like Pune, Maharashtra have reported that 90% of the calls or 90% of the tips that they get from these anonymous people are pranks, fake calls. They've completely forgot about this whole aspect of trolling while citing this point. The first speaker of the proposition side also mentioned the point citing Jane Eyre. Well, sir, two things. One, at that time, this online criticism, which the reader could receive back, did not exist and it did not demotivate them. Second, I'll even give you an example to help you understand the same. Giving the name of a writer named David Foster Wallace, not a very well-known writer, right? But still, he committed suicide in the year 2008. Reason, he was an e-publisher. He published blogs, he published e-books, and during the process, he was bullied. He was literally criticized on all the books that he wrote, and this caused depression and contributed to that horrendous act. The second speaker of the opposition side seemed like he was sitting in the United Nations Human Rights Council speaking about democracy and human rights. Well, sir, as a very basic matter of fact, now coming to your democracy points, human rights, as I said in my speech, also guarantee us a consent. And that consent is completely denied by these anonymous people who carry out acts such as the Christchurch shooting. So your point has already been rebutted in my speech. Now, caller contacts Florida police, well, this point is also easily deniable, because even the United States have the policy, or you have this acts of trolling and fake calling. It's even more prevalent in our country, India. So the opposing bench has been clearly hiding the demerits of the agenda and have been putting forward nothing but baseless arguments with no solutions or no technicality included. Thank you.
Well done, Nikhil. Let's see how the judges scored that rebuttal. Pushan, I have your score. Thank you. Kriti ma'am, I have your score as well. Thank you. Jaya ma'am, I have your scores too. Thank you so much. And Atharv, it's now your turn.
Am I audible and visible?
Yes, Atharv. I can see you. I can hear you loud and clear. If you're ready with your rebuttal, we will start your time for 2 minutes now.
Imagine a world where there was no freedom of speech. That is the world proposition is working towards. I will tell you where both teams, proposition and opposition, have met. I will also tell you why and how the points of the opposition bench stand out. Firstly, security on internet versus security of rights. Proposition bench keeps focusing on the fact that by banning online anonymity, people will get security. But they overlook the fact that by banning online anonymity, they're compromising the freedom of choice and free speech of a person, which is the basic principle of democracy, as I have already cleared out in my speech. We believe that upholding the fundamental principle of democracy is the right choice to do, and that is why the opposition has an upper hand in this point. Moving on to the second point, which is accountability. Proposition bench believes that everyone should be held accountable for what they say, and that is true. But they fail to realize that if they ban online anonymity, then people won't speak out much anyway. As I've already stated in my arguments, those who have new ideas fear backlash and judgment, and therefore choose not to share them. But anonymous channels can be used as a way to promote voicing and new ideas without fear. That is why we believe that the opposition bench has better results on our side and also upholds the values of democracy. Moving on to the third point, which is which side has more benefits. Proposition bench talks about advantages like accountability and combating cybercrime, but fails to realize the price they have to pay. Whereas the opposition bench has clearly proved that by not banning online anonymity, we have much better benefits on our side, while also upholding the values of democracy. Therefore, I have proved that in all three major points where the proposition and opposition bench have met, the opposition bench has an upper hand. That is why if the jury sides with protecting the rights of the people, if the jury sides with the political and social assent of the world, and if the jury sides with upholding liberty, then the jury has to side with the opposition bench. Thank you.
Well done, Atharv. Let's see how the judges scored that rebuttal. Judges, if you could please put in Atharv's scores. Pushan, I have your score. Thank you. Kriti ma'am, I have your score as well. Thank you so much. Jaya ma'am, I have your score as well. Thank you. Well, with that, we have all the 4 rebuttals done. I have all the 4 scores with me, but this is when I get to play the evil moderator and create a bit of suspense. I will take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about Notebook. We at Notebook are an EdTech brand. What we do is we take the topics of your school curriculum and make small, crisp 6 to 10 minute videos out of them. How this helps is in 2 ways. First, when your teachers are taking your classes, whether it's offline or online, they get to play this video before the class starts. Therefore, every student now has a fairly visual understanding of the topic. And then the rest of the class can be used in a much more fruitful debate and discussion around that particular topic. Now, 6 months down the line, when you have your exam, you need to remember what your teacher had taught you. You need to quickly revise the topic that was taught to you. You access the same video from your personal device, be it your laptop, your iPad, or your phone. You can access that video, watch it end to end, and even get 2 to 3 minute recap videos that will help you revise much quicker and faster before an exam. To give you a better idea of what I'm talking about, let me show you a small clip of one of these Notebook videos.
Hello students, welcome to Notebook. Have you heard the name Tansen before? Did you know he is considered one of the greatest musicians produced by our country? He was also considered one of the 9 jewels of King Akbar's court. In Behat near Gwalior lived Mukandan Mishra and his wife. Their only child, Tansen, was a very naughty boy. He would run and play in the forest. Soon, he learned how to imitate the calls of birds and animals. One day, the famous singer Swami Haridas was passing through the forest with his disciples or students. They decided to take rest in a shady grove. Tansen saw the strangers in the forest. He decided to scare them. Hiding behind a tree, Tansen imitated the roar of a tiger. The disciples scattered in fear. Swami Haridas told them that tigers were not always dangerous and decided to look for the tiger. Soon they realized that there were no tigers. The naughty Tansen was found hiding behind a tree. When he was brought before Haridas, he did not punish Tansen. Instead, Swami Haridas went to Tansen's father. He told Mukandan Mishra that his son, although naughty, was very talented. Swami Haridas offered to make Tansen a singer. From the age of 10, Tansen lived with Swami Haridas. He learned music for 11 years and became a wonderful singer. Sadly, however, Tansen's parents soon died. Mukandan Mishra was greatly devoted to Muhammad Ghaus, a holy man who lived in Gwalior. It was Mukandan Mishra's dying wish that his son Tansen would visit Muhammad Ghaus. Tansen began living with Muhammad Ghaus. Tansen would often visit the court of Rani Mrignani, a talented musician herself. One of the ladies of Rani Mrignani's court, Hussaini, married Tansen. She too became a disciple of Haridas. Tansen and Hussaini had 5 children, who were all very musically gifted. Tansen's fame grew and he went on to perform in Akbar's court. Akbar invited him to join his court. Tansen joined Akbar's court in 1556. He became a favorite of the emperor. It was said that Akbar would call upon Tansen to hear his music at various times of the day and night. Sometimes, Akbar would often walk into Tansen's home to hear him practice. He even showered him with presents. Some of the courtiers soon became very jealous of Tansen. They decided to ruin Tansen. One of the courtiers, Shaukat Mia, had an idea. He decided to make Tansen sing Raga Deepak. It was said that if Raga Deepak was sung properly, it would make the air so hot that the singer would be burnt to ashes. Since Tansen was an excellent singer, his death would be assured. Shaukat Mia then went to Emperor Akbar. He told Akbar that a few of the courtiers, including himself, thought Tansen was not a great singer.
Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, was a short clip of one of the Notebook videos. To tell us a little bit more about Notebook and to give his views about today's debate, we have with us Achin Bhattacharyya. Achin is the founder and CEO of Notebook. He is a chartered accountant by training who was a director at Deloitte prior to starting Notebook. Achin, if we can have you, please.
Good evening, everyone. We had a splendid session today. Really very happy to see such confidence and passion for public speaking in our young debaters. Victoria, Nikhil, Vibhor, and Atharv. Great performance. Really an edge of the seat thriller. To me, all of you are future leaders who will take our society forward in the years to come. Thus, all of you have an important responsibility of not only seeking truth on any issue, but also standing up for it. Public discourse is essential for free and fair functioning of any democratic society. And thus, I would request all of you to not only work on your oratory skills, but also to develop patient and tolerant listening skills. It's really important to listen to the other person with an open mind and debate on merit to find out what is right, and without any individual baggage. I really congratulate all of you for your fantastic performance. And today, irrespective of the result, the way I look at it, all of you go home as winners for your commendable performance. At Notebook, we really aspire to engage with each one of you and work together towards a better tomorrow. With 10,000 videos and more than 1 million users, we are still at our infancy. I also thank all stakeholders who have contributed to this beautiful evening, both the learned adjudicators, principals of both the schools, and all your teachers and parents who have invested their time, hope, and effort on each one of you. You have indeed made all of them proud. I also thank the audience for your enthusiastic response. We are indeed humbled. In between our Together for Education webinar that we host for esteemed educators and 0 Hour, where we aspire to directly engage with students, so far we had more than 25,000 attendees during last 2 months. Thus at Notebook, we are indeed humbled. Thank you. Take care, stay safe, and goodbye. Over to you, Shubhayu.
Thank you, Achin. We are also very privileged to have partnered with Save the Children. Save the Children, as many of you already know, is an NGO that has just completed 100 years. It's been over a century that they've been working tirelessly across the globe in trying to solve problems for children who are not as fortunate as us. Some of these children face premature death. Some have to grow up in hostile environments. And Save the Children works across the world helping these children. Here's a short message from their CEO, Ms. Bidisha Pillai.
Save the Children was born in 1919. 100 years is not a milestone that many organizations or individuals can claim to have reached. And for us, it's been a tireless, relentless journey to ensure that every child has access to their rights. Every child has a voice. But when we look back at 100 years, because 100 is also a time to reflect, we wonder what it would be like to live in a world where children don't need to be saved. Perhaps we could live in a world where Save the Children does not need to exist. And so as we look at the future, we envision a world which is much kinder to its children. A world in which children no longer need to be protected from violence, where children are not needlessly dying before they turn 5, where every child is going to school, is learning, is playing, and is on that path towards fulfilling their full potential. As we turn 100, we pledge to work towards that future of a much kinder and brighter world for children. Every day, every hour, every minute, we will continue on that path. But we also know we can't do it alone. We want to work closely with the communities, with our partners, with the government, and most importantly, with the children themselves. They are going to be the change makers of tomorrow. Children like Anoyara, like Rahul, like Salman, like Mamta, they are the ones who are breaking gender stereotypes. They are challenging social norms, and they are changing the world and the lives of themselves and also children around them. We pledge to continue working with them, alongside them, to ensure that every child gets the right start. I'm Bidisha Pillai, and I invite you to join Save the Children in our commitment to ensure that every child gets the right start.
Well, after that short message from Notebook and Save the Children, I'm quite sure the participants would kill me if I did not show them their scores. So here you are at the end of your 5 minutes of arguments and 2 minutes of rebuttal. Here are your average scores from the 3 judges' scores. Victoria, you averaged 86. Vibhor, you're at 85. Nikhil, you're at 89. And Atharv, you finished with 78. Which means these are your school averages. For the DPS-Modern Indian School, Doha, you average 82. This is again out of 100. And Bharati Public School, New Delhi, your average is 87, which means there's a very slim margin of 5 points. And this is where you, the audience, get to play a deciding role. I will now put a poll on your screen. You have heard all the four wonderful debaters argue their motions. You will get 1 minute to choose your favorite out of those four speakers. You, within that 1 minute, think well and vote, because you can cast your vote only once. You should see the poll on your screens now. Raising hand is not a vote. You will have the poll on your screen. Please answer on that poll. You have 1 minute to cast your vote, and 575 votes are awaited. In all of my debating across school and college, I have never ever debated in front of an audience of 575. So to every speaker out there, this is a privilege. We are about 40 seconds in, and 77% people have voted. As I've said before, most democracies in the world would envy us for our voting percentage. The four speakers, why don't you come back on camera? It would be good to see you. We are going to end the vote in another couple of seconds, and we are done. Those are the results on your screens, ladies and gentlemen. With 69% of the votes, Victoria from DPS-Modern, Doha, Qatar, has been chosen as the best speaker. While I tabulate these scores, Pushan, it's been a privilege having you as a judge. We would love to hear your thoughts, your closing statements.
Thanks, Shubhayu. I think it's been a wonderful session. The topic that was chosen, I think it's of a lot of relevance and pertinence in the current times. And I think both the parties, for and against the motion, have argued and articulated their points extremely well. And I'm sure at the end of the day, one person would be the winner. However, I would say that the arguments from the students, I think their grasp on the topic has been pretty good. And it's been a great experience for me hearing all of them.
Thanks, Pushan. Thanks for those wonderful thoughts. I will take a slight liberty here. We have Ms. Jaya Majumder with us, who's the adjudicator from the DPS-Modern Indian School. What some of us in the debating circuits also know is she's one of those extremely acclaimed and celebrated debaters in this part of the world. She's been a judge and a debate coach for years now. Ma'am, since we have you, it will be really terrible of us to let you go without having your advice to all four speakers.
Thank you, Shubhayu. This is definitely a surprise. Let me congratulate Meghna, Abhishek, you and the whole team of Notebook. At this crucial time of the pandemic, your initiative to keep the students from different Indian schools from Africa, Middle East, and the Indian subcontinent, keep them busy and constructive, is really praiseworthy. Debaters, I must say, wonderful. You have done a great job. It's not easy to talk in front of the people. Above that, you talked on a current issue with great insight. That itself is remarkable. I myself is new to this particular format of debating and was worried. But one thing, I was confident that the rules and principle of debate can't be changed. Whichever format you follow, wherever you stand and talk, it's all same. So what I understand, debate means dispute and disagreement, which means both the team can't stand together. So to win a debate, one particular team should speak better. So speaking better means winning. So win does not mean in debate that you have spoken more points. Win means you have refuted and rebutted the opponent's points and nullified opponent's case. Win means your points or arguments have weightage, have value, have principles. Win means your case is realistic, you have a positive point of view. This is as a whole about win when the judges look at. But when you as a debater want to develop yourself, first thing you need to learn is learn to do research. Then develop excellent critical thinking skill. What do I mean by this? Always ask why and so what. Develop power of persuasion. What do I mean by this? This is a theory we say problem solution outcome. Means analyze with proper reasoning and evidences. Develop organization and presentation skill. Develop strategies of public speaking, verbal, vocal, visual, and contextual varieties. Develop the confidence and desire to participate. I might have spoken individual feedback, but as this debate is not a debate where we had that kind of guideline, so the debaters have spoken from their own understanding how they should rebut, if they will rebut within the topic or with the constructive speech, and that's what I found. Some of you have done that. So we really cannot judge that way. So I really do not think that if I give any independent or individual feedback, that would be fair enough. So I'll say the same thing once again. Well done, all of you. Everybody cannot be a winner in a sports, but on the other hand, you are all winner because you all have done wonderful. Thank you again, Team Notebook, to expand our horizon. Thank you all to be with us in this wonderful evening. Over to you, Shubhayu.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a privilege having you with us here today. Again, all four of you, these are your final scores after we have added the score for the best speaker. So DPS Modern Indian School, Doha, you win with a total score of 107 points. Bharati Public School, you end with a total score of 87 points, but absolutely nothing to get disappointed. This particular debate stands out as one of the best debates that we have had in this event so far. Well, guys in Doha, time for some celebration. Guys in Delhi, celebrate as well, because you have done phenomenally well. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we shall now leave you. We have another debate tomorrow, and we hope to see you then. Until then, take care and goodbye.